You want to start by picturing this. A single sheet of paper that could stand in for a lifetime. A cashier's check, $350,000 worth, that for most people would be more than they make in 5 years. To Eleanor Peterson, it was everything. A nest egg of quiet promise, the last piece of a future sketched long ago with meticulous care, built to rest on a foundation of love and late-day dreams. It was the fruit of 4 decades of her husband's planning, paying off her house, sending her grandchildren to college, a lavender-scented promise to Provence. But at the polished marble counter, standing behind a poised woman with a nameplate that read Caroline Gable, devoid of warmth, it was something else entirely. To her, that check was fresh opportunity to wield power, to diminish. An old woman who didn't belong in that world, and so she ripped it apart, tearing Eleanor's future and dignity into fragments. I'd love to know, where are you watching from right now? Drop a line in the comments, and if stories of resilience, justice, and redemption strike a chord in you, give this a like, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe so these stories find their way out into the world. Now, lean in. It was Thursday morning in Chicago, and the air held that first crisp bite of fall, sharp enough to rattle your bones if you weren't careful. For 73 years, Eleanor had carried a quiet ache in her joints, a reminder of time's passage. Clutched in her worn leather purse lay that check, a weight far beyond its paper form, a confrontation with grief and the future all at once. $350,000. It still felt unreal, like something you'd glimpse on a quiz show, not something a retired teacher from the South Side could hold in her hand. But it was real, and it was all she had. You see, her husband, Robert, had planned meticulously. He was a man who believed in building something enduring, not just walls and rooftops, but futures. For your rainy days, Ellie, he used to say, so you can have sunshine even when the sky is grey. This, she thought, was that sunshine. A check large enough to wipe out the remaining mortgage, enough to seed her grandchildren's educations, enough for those lavender fields she'd only ever seen in novels. Today, the sky above Chicago burned with brightness, mocking the dread that sat in her stomach. She took the heavy glass doors of the bank branch, Sterling Trust, on Michigan Avenue and stepped inside. The lobby felt designed to impress, or maybe to frighten. Marble floors that glowed, the scent of antiseptic mingled with old money, the hush of keyboards tapping, air too clean to be natural. Eleanor, in her Sunday dress and sensible shoes, with her mother's pearls around her neck, felt that old familiar stirring of unease. She'd banked for decades at her credit union, where tellers greeted her by name and asked after her hydrangeas. But for this check, $350,000. Go downtown, her son had told her. At the issuing bank, less chance of trouble. And here she was, standing in line, purse held tight, waiting to do right by her husband's legacy. She watched the teller, Caroline Gable, blonde, sharp-cut hair, posture exacting, eyes so cold you could catch pneumonia from them. She greeted one customer with studied indifference, a man in paint-splattered overalls. She grilled him on his ID. The next, a suited businesswoman, got a warmer tone, a tight smile curled at the corners of her mouth. And when she looked at Eleanor, that same cold blink seemed to pass judgment. Old, quiet, out of place. Next, Caroline said, dry. Eleanor smoothed her dress, rehearsed her greeting. Good morning. The teller didn't respond. She let her eyes slide over Eleanor from top down, hair, shoes, hands. Then the check slid across the counter. Caroline's fingertips, Q-tip delicate, gripped the paper as though it smelled funny. 350,000, she said loudly, enough that the people waiting behind Eleanor leaned closer. In that hush, the number rang out like an accusation. Eleanor said softly, "Yes, that's right." Caroline's lips thinned, devoid of empathy. "Where did you get this?" she asked. Note, not, "What is the source?" but "Where did you get it?" Eleanor's voice was steady. Husband's life insurance and investment payout. That tremor in her hands, too faint for Caroline to notice. Caroline tilted back in her chair, eyeing her phone. "I'll need 2 government-issued IDs," she said. Eleanor produced both without a flinch. Driver's license, passport card. Caroline shined a lamp on them, angled them, compared decades-older passport photo to the woman before her. Her name, Eleanor. The silence stretched. "This issuing institution is legitimate," Caroline conceded after minutes, "but this amount is highly unusual." Eleanor bit inside her mouth, steady calm in place. Caroline's phone call followed. "I have a situation. Walk in. Cashier's check for 350. Provenance, questionable." Elderly woman, words like little stones hitting Eleanor in the chest. Her pride cracked. Caroline hung up, leveled a triumphant stare. "Manager agrees. We cannot verify authenticity. Check destroyed." Eleanor's slow breath caught. What does that mean? It took all she had to steady her voice. "It's guaranteed funds." Caroline snapped back, mocking, "But forgeries are more sophisticated now." The phrase, "people like you," landed with the force of a blow. Eleanor's eyes welled. She braced herself, honored memory of her husband, and said, voice firm, "I am a grieving widow, depositing my husband's legacy. I've done nothing wrong. I insist you process this or have your manager explain to me why you're refusing service." Caroline's lips curled. With that smirk, she ripped it apart. The tearing sound carried, final. Papers falling like confetti, or more like shards. She said, "It's bank policy with suspected fraud. We destroy the check." She told Eleanor to leave. Eleanor turned, walked out, dignified, silent. Only when she was a block away, leaning on cold stone, did a single tear escape. She pulled her phone and dialed David. He was on the 45th floor of the same bank's tower, CEO on a board meeting, one of the youngest ever. Calmly, he excused himself. "I have an urgent matter." That word jerked fearless in him. "Mom, where are you?" she told him. "That branch on Michigan Avenue." Her voice cracked. She explained everything. He froze while her words filled the line, then walked out, tones gone smooth steel. "Don't move. Arthur will pick you up in 5. Go home. Lock the door. I'll take it from here." Back in his office, he stood, voice flat. "Sandra, cancel my appointments for the day. Call Marcus Thorne." Thorne, a former federal prosecutor, razor-brained compliance chief. "Get security footage, audio, logs from the branch," David said. "Look for the teller, Caroline Gable. The manager, Jennings. I want their files, complaints, patterns of suspicious flagging. I want a report in 90 minutes." And he hung up. Within minutes, Marcus and his team were on it. On screens, Eleanor walking in, Caroline's dismissive glance, the tearing of the check. Audio, every sharp question, Eleanor's calm replies. Then the data, patterns, statistics. Over 70% of suspicious flags went to minority customers. Caroline and Jennings responsible for 90% of those. Employee files. Caroline had 12 rudeness complaints in 6 years, 8 from minority customers, all swept aside by Jennings. But Marcus didn't stop there. Calls to the Fed brought answers. This wasn't accidental. Destroying the check was performance of intimidation, then siphoning the money via ghost accounts. The forensic accounting team found one suspended account where tens of thousands flowed in, then months out, over $1.2 million. Caroline ripped up checks just before money was rerouted. Eleanor's $350,000 would have been the biggest yet. Marcus called David, tone grave. It's criminal, fake policy cloak. They've stolen from customers for years. David's fury sharpened. Personal, systemic. Bring HR corporate security. I want everyone at the Michigan branch tonight. And send a car for my mother. She'll accompany me. Evening came fast. Eleanor, guided by Arthur, walked back into the branch, this time flanked by her son, face a hard mask. Caroline's sneer froze mid-word. David's voice, quiet and immovable, "You will be silent." Manager emerged. David pinned them. "Go back to your office. Meeting for you." Both. Corporate security stepped forward. David looked at them. "I was CEO. This is my mother." The name hit guards like iron. Caroline and Jennings were escorted into the manager's office, alongside Marcus, HR, security. Doors shut. David stood, spoke. "Video, audio, data. $1.2 million. The FBI and DA know. Your employment ends now." Security stripped them of IDs and phones. They were marched out. Chicago police waited, and then David knelt before his mother in the lobby. "It's over." She touched his cheek. "You did good. Your father would be proud." Outside, the city hum still there. Eleanor, exhausted, said, "I feel sorry for them, David. To carry such hate." He held her hand silently. That night the board convened. Lawyers and PR urged calm, deflection. But David stood. "Character matters. We're not burying this. We own it. We hold a press conference." That afternoon, in full glare, David laid it out. Failures, apologies, terminations, the grand Emerald Peterson Charter, full audit of branches, anti-bias training, AI monitoring, accountability tied to inclusion metrics. It was lean betrays strength. The stock wobbled, headlines were brutal, but letters started coming. Customers, rivals, support. 2 months later, the charter was live. Branches felt different, warmer. On a clear morning, David took Eleanor to her credit union, the small one where they knew her by name. He handed her a new check. Same amount, freshly printed, but rooted in meaning. And she held it again, tears in her eyes. The teller smiled. "Heard about Dad," she whispered. "Your son's doing good." Eleanor just said, "Yes, I can imagine." Back in his office months later, David received a postcard from Provence, lavender under blue sky. His mother's handwriting said, "The sky is blue. The sun is warm. It smells like heaven. Thank you, my son. You built me a foundation of sunshine." That charter framed on his wall. The foundation built not just of policy and not just of profit, but of a son's fierce love, of dignity realized. Eleanor Peterson's story reminds us that real power isn't in tearing others down, but standing up for them. Let's honor her by believing that quiet strength still changes things. If this moved you, like, share, subscribe, and tell me, if you were in David's place, would you go further? Let's talk in the comments. Thanks for listening.